We're in San Sebastian, Spain, at one of the most famous restaurants on the planet. This is Asador Etxebarri, consistently ranked top 2 in the world and is known for having supposedly one of the greatest steaks on earth. The chef is a Spanish legend and has won 15 Michelin stars in a row. The dude is putting up Brady numbers in there. What made Chef Victor so famous? It's not just that he reinvented the way open fire cooking is done, it's that every single ingredient you eat touches the flame. But at Etxebarri, fire isn't the only differentiator. The ingredients are what makes this restaurant so legendary. Peas that have to be harvested the same day they're served, costing over $200 a pound. Palamos prawns that cost $40 a pop. $40 for one shrimp. Highly prized steak from a breed of dairy cows only chef has access to. And they're even serving raw pork here. When every ingredient costs this much, you can imagine what the full meal runs you. So the question I'm asking myself, does this restaurant live up to the hype? Because when someone who shaped the way I see food, someone who inspired my entire career, says this would be his death row meal, I'll travel across the world to find out.
Sometimes with chefs, we sit around and we play this game. If you had to die at one restaurant, what restaurant would you like your last meal at? And I said, it's Etxebarri.
Etxebarri.
And they all changed their answer. They said, oh, no, you're right, that one.
We had the rare opportunity to talk with Chef Victor about what turned his kitchen into a global benchmark. He explains how grilling has long been a tradition in the Basque Country and how he set out to challenge it, not by abandoning tradition, but by expanding it, by cooking new ingredients and sourcing the very best products from across Spain, not just his region. The breakthrough came through fire. Instead of relying on charcoal, which can overpower flavor, he reimagined how embers are used, selecting specific woods burned at precise temperatures to shape the taste of each ingredient. His attention to detail is relentless. He's so deeply involved that the restaurant won't even open unless he's there. We heard that if you aren't here, the restaurant's closed. Okay. That's awesome. Every dish that leaves the kitchen carries his influence. That dedication is one of the reasons Asador Etxebarri has held Michelin-starred recognition for more than 15 years. But what makes it even more fascinating is how Chef Victor himself reacts to the awards. 15 Michelin stars in a row.
Bueno, pero es una cosa que yo no busco.
Okay.
Los reconocimientos están bien. Yo solamente busco la felicidad y la experiencia agradable de los que vienen aquí a comer. Todo lo demás no me interesa.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much. Now, let's step inside the restaurant. This isn't a typical Michelin-starred dining room. Asador Etxebarri is designed to feel like a home, both in its layout and in its service, kinda like eating at a friend's house. You pour your own water, you sit comfortably in your own space with only one seating a day. I like how the menu is honestly pretty simple. We're leaning towards the tasting menu. It's 280 euro per person, there's 6 of us here. They start you off with a green pea broth. I love this glass. For green pea broth, that's delicious. That's impressive to even make that taste good. It smells heavily like peas, but it doesn't taste too pea forward. Next up, we have the raw chorizo in between these two crackers. Raw pork is a very interesting touch on a menu. I've never seen that one before. You might be wondering, how can a restaurant serve raw pork? In Spain, pork isn't just food, it's culture. And at the very top is Joselito, a 6th-generation family-run farm largely considered the highest quality pork in the world. So pure that you can actually eat it raw. I hope. And if you want to see how the most legendary pork in the world is made, we're dropping that video soon. So make sure to subscribe and catch that video next. That oil dripping down looks really good. Wow, really flavorful. And the cracker on the outside provides a nice crunch. As crazy as this sounds, this raw pork is phenomenal. We have locally caught anchovies that they salt in-house on a tomato jam. That is a very intense anchovy, which I do like, but I could see this throwing a wrench in some people's meal, for sure. Spent the last 2 years traveling around the world eating food. I have never seen goat butter at a restaurant in my entire life. Light, creamy, slight cheesy flavor. It doesn't have the heaviness of normal butter. We have Spanish Palamos prawn, which is the most expensive prawn in the world, and it has a super distinct red color. They work with local fishermen in Spain, and you can only catch a certain amount per year. It's a very highly regulated prawn because it's so rare. Now, there's a very specific way to eat this dish. You're supposed to tilt it upside down. All of the juice runs to the head. Pull out the tail, and then you suck out all the juices from the head. And don't be shy. You want to make sure you suck it hard to get everything out.
Hey, yo!
The juices are incredible, and there's so much meat that's in the head too that you need to bite off. Wow, that's phenomenal. Meat is so tender and juicy, and it has a nice sweet flavor to it. That's definitely one of the best prawns I've had in my life. You would think at a Michelin star restaurant and the second-rated restaurant in the world, it would be very pretentious, but this feels quite the opposite. Very homey and inviting and a relaxing way to eat. It's good vibes. All right, next up we have the grilled sea urchin. We've been seeing this dish all over Spain. They cook it down with the yolk of the sea urchin itself. I like how they actually plate it inside of the shell of the sea urchin. Wow. The texture is great, and it's not too salty, but it's the perfect creaminess. I really like that. All right, next up we have Mediterranean cuttlefish topped with the world's most expensive peas. You have to hand pick and eat these peas within the same day, or else they will go bad. This looks almost as much as a piece of art as a piece of food. The actual quality of the cuttlefish is really good, but I'm not the biggest fan of this dish. I'm not in love with the sauce, but the peas themselves are shockingly the best part of the dish. And shout out the unlimited bread. Every 10 minutes, this woman's coming around and refilling the bread, which is a massive, massive addition to this meal. But I am kind of scared because the menu prices are so high, and if they're charging us for the bread, this meal is gonna be an extra $500 because she has refilled our bread about 20 times. Our next course, we have mushrooms and peas topped with French truffle. It also has some sort of broth on the bottom. Very unique dish. I'm not sure I see the artistic vision of the chef on this one, to be honest. It just tastes kind of like a soggy mushroom in a broth with some truffle on top. If we're gonna be real. So our red wine of the day, it comes from a small town in between Portugal and Spain, and it's a river that runs through the town with a lot of churches, so they call it the Sacred River, and this grape grows right there. Really flavorful red, but doesn't gonna have the burn on the throat. All right, next up we have a grilled anchovy with an arugula sauce. Now it's interesting because they use anchovies in 2 courses of the meal. In the beginning, they have the raw anchovy on a piece of toast with a tomato jam, and about 8 courses later, they have a grilled anchovy. Very tender cut. Wow. That's incredible. Really tender, not too salty. I feel like anchovies are one of those foods that people get hung up on because they can be really salty and a little intimidating. But I feel like for people that don't like anchovies, if they came here and tried this, they would change their entire perception. Next up, we have a Spanish sea bream, the gelatin of the fish mixed with olive oil on top. Incredibly tender. One of the more tender pieces of whitefish I've ever had. This one's a little deceiving because it's not the prettiest dish they brought out by any means, but I think it is one of the more tasty dishes.
It's not like super flaky where it like falls apart all over it. It's like you got a little chew to it.
One of the better pieces of whitefish I've ever had in my life. It's almost cooked like a little rare.
But it's got that like bite to it.
And it's not too fishy, but it's still really juicy and meaty. It's honestly exceptional.
This is good done.
Oh my God.
All right, this is the eyeball of the sea bream, and I said I would eat it, and now I'm kind of regretting my decision. Oh my God, I might.
Oh.
Do not do that when you come here.
There's got to be some nutrients in the eyeball.
Right.
The jello's not bad. How come it looks like it's a light bulb?
Bite it. It almost tastes like a gummy, chewing gum kind of. I actually like the jello around the eyeball. I don't hate the eyeball. I really don't. I like how this tasting menu is a mix of both artistic plating but actual pieces of food. It's not too small because you go to some super high-ranked top Michelin star restaurants and it's solely art, but the food is like a speck of dust, and that pisses me off. All right, next up we have what they're most famous for, their 10-year-old Galician beef. A lot of people in Spain have said that this is the best steak in the world. Whoa, look at that marbling. And it's interesting because when you order the steak, they do not ask you how you want it cooked. They just prepare it to the chef's liking. Oh my God, that is actually unbelievable. The marbling is so incredible. It's so tender, you can cut it with a fork. Fat running through it is insane. It has this really good beefy, rich flavor. And then you also get the dry agedness. This is special. I haven't really had the flavor of this steak anywhere else. This is the best bite when you just gnaw on the bone. Wow, the flavor is incredible. I can officially say this is the best steak I've ever had in my entire life. I'm curious what you guys think.
Best steaks I've ever had in my life. You don't come to a restaurant like this and not be prepared to say a statement like that, so yes.
Number one, hands down.
Number one.
It's a yes or no question. Is the best steak you've ever had or not?
Low-key, Snake River Farms.
5 out of 6 people at the table agree that this is the best steak they've ever had in their life. That's how you know it's truly incredible quality. Honestly, to me, the steak being the best steak in the world carries so much weight of the entire meal that even if there were some dishes that weren't my favorite, it just completely swings the pendulum of this entire experience for me to be an incredibly memorable meal. Because steak is one of my favorite foods. And I will always remember where I had the best steak in the world. I almost won't remember some of the misses, I'll just remember the massive dub Etxebarri took with this steak. Caps off to Etxebarri. This is an interesting display of a dessert. The cup is really cold. We have a house-made ice cream with a beetroot juice on the bottom. Look at how white that looks. Whoa. That's a crazy color. The ice cream is so white, but the beetroot is such a deep red. And it creates this beautiful pink when they combine. Delicious. Wow. The beetroot juice kind of balances out the sweetness well. I would never expect that with ice cream, but it actually works quite well. We got a black and white chocolate souffle here. It looks like it has a bottom graham cracker looking crust to it.
Something cold in mine.
Interesting. It's like really, really like cream with a cold chocolate base. Very foamy though. I'm not a big souffle guy. Definitely does give some marshmallow energy. I'm a little bit scared because the only negative of the world's second best restaurant is usually the price tag. $1,889. Actually, way cheaper than I thought. It's still expensive as fuck. But
said that like it was free.
That was awesome to be able to meet the chef. And you could just tell by the way he was talking. He was such a genuine, passionate chef and didn't really care about the accolades and being ranked in the top 50 for 15 years in a row. Absolutely worth the 2-hour drive. I would buy a flight back to Spain just to experience this meal and have this steak again. There were probably 1 or 2 things that weren't my favorite overall, but besides that, this meal absolutely lived up to the hype. Even though it's €320 per person, totally understand why this was ranked the second best restaurant in the world. Was it the best meal I've ever had or the second best meal I've ever had? I don't know, but it was the best steak I've ever had in my life and one of the best fish dishes I've ever had in my life. So definitely one of the overall best dining experiences I've had. Where should we try next?